the mystery of the attack of the Nord Stream 2 pipelines has never been a mystery. And if you've been following the channel long enough, you would know that I've discussed this multiple times. Today, though, we have even more data that shows exactly who pulled the trigger on this particular sabotage. Do you guys have any guesses as to who may have ordered it? You know what? Let's just talk about world leaders. Comment them down below. Also, how would you guys like to get a 5th jab of the vaccine? At least one country has now announced that they will be rolling out a 5th dose of the C-19 jab within the month as they prepare for another wave of the virus. How are these people all predicting another wave of cases? It's like they know something that we don't. Or maybe they're just being cautious. I don't know. Which of the two do you think it is? Now, before I continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. I really appreciate the love, you guys. I already feel the suppression that is going to happen with this video, so I'm going to need all the help that I can get. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to what's happening in Washington, D.C., global happenings, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, the state of our economy, the stock market, housing market updates, and everything that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure your notification bell is turned on. And if you own a home, make sure your greatest investment is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. The link is in the description down below of this video. It only takes like 15 seconds. Now, I asked you at the very beginning, who do you think ordered the attack on the Nord Stream pipelines? Let me give you a clue by showing you a couple of clips that aged like fine wine.
If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Sounds ominous, doesn't it? It's like he knows it's going to happen. Now, I'm not putting words into his mouth. He said this last year. It's insane to think that only a few people caught up on it. Let's see what else he said last year. Here's Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland talking about the pipelines last year as well.
With regard to Nord Stream 2, we continue to have very strong and clear conversations with our German allies, and I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
There you go. Two very clear messages that if Russia invades, the West will take care of the pipelines. When Russia said that it was the West that did it, President Biden was quick to defend the United States by saying, quote, "It was a deliberate act of sabotage, and the Russians are pumping out disinformation and lies. At the appropriate moment, when things calm down, we'll be going to send divers down to find out exactly what happened. We don't know that yet exactly," end quote. And he also said this, quote, "Those who profit from it have done it," end quote. Now, who would profit from Europe losing out on energy? Because let's be real, Russia could have just turned the flap off and just been done with it. There was no need to destroy their own pipeline and their own investment. This is what makes the latest journalistic piece from Seymour Hersh that much more compelling. For context, Hersh is a Pulitzer Prize winner. Let's get that out the way because I'm pretty sure that his credibility will be put into question. So an award-winning journalist just wrote this, quote, "How America Took Out the Nord Stream Pipeline." He's not really leaving much to the imagination with that title, is he? You really don't even have to read the article probably at this point. But let's see what he wrote. According to Hersh, it was U.S. Navy divers that laid bombs that blew up the pipelines. And wouldn't you know, the Pentagon was very quick to deny all these allegations. These divers are trained for deep waters and for decades. They've been assigned to different American military units, and according to the article, they use C4 explosives to clear harbors and breaches of debris and unexploded ordnance, end quote. Which is good. That's a noble thing to do. But he adds that they've done some bad things as well. Just like, quote, blowing up foreign oil rigs, fouling intake valves for undersea power plants, destroying locks on crucial shipping canals, end quote. Now, moving on to June 2022, and the Navy divers operating under the NATO exercise called Baltops 22 allegedly planted remote trigger explosives that had detonated 3 months earlier. This ended up damaging 3 of the 4 Nord Stream pipelines. Now, you might ask yourself, why? Well, Hersh says that President Biden saw the pipeline as a vehicle for Vladimir Putin to weaponize natural gas for his political and territorial ambitions, end quote. His words, not mine. Putin had nothing to gain from this. He was the one with everything to lose. It was a bargaining tool that he could have used with Europe, especially since they were supplying them with cheap energy. Dang, man, it's like, we're blind to all this that's going on. They're making Putin look like he's the worst guy in the world what's really going on here? Their embassy in Washington actually had this to say about the events that happened. Quote, "We note the attempts by some U.S. legislators to put blame on Russia for the incidents that occurred on Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines. Perhaps they have a better view from the top of Capitol Hill. But if that is the case, they must also have seen the U.S. warships' activities at the very site of the Russian infrastructure disruption just the day before, or noticed drones and helicopters fly over there, or observed U.S. Navy exercises with underwater explosives that have been conducted in the same area some time ago. Finally, they should have recalled the promises made by President Biden to bring an end to the Nord Stream 2 project." End quote. But hey, at least the president made good on one of his promises, right? Now, the bad news is that the cat is now out of the bag. And given that President Biden is an advocate for climate change, this entire situation doesn't look good for him. Now, according to Danish Energy Agency, the leaks would equate to about 14 million tons of CO2, which is about 32% of Denmark's annual emissions. Now, at this point, you gotta ask, if not the United States, then who? Was it Aquaman? Cobra Commander? Nemo? It's so great to think that they conducted these exercises and 3 months later, boom. And they expected no one to suspect the United States. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Hersh is giving us the truth? Or is he just blowing bubbles at this point? Now, speaking of crazy, Australia just approved their 5th booster shot. Yeah, they want more people to get jabbed out there. Now, that's going to be very difficult to do since even early on during the health crisis, many of their own citizens rejected the miracle drugs. And this was just 9 weeks into their initial rollouts. It got so bad that a fifth or 20% of their vaccine stock were left to go bad late last year. Only about 44% of the population has received the 4th dose, compared to the first dose, which almost cleared the entire country with jabs. I just thought that I would share this with you guys because it's 2023 and they're still pushing for this. Now, it's good news for Pfizer because they lost around $40 billion of their value early this year because they're expecting weaker sales for their magic vaccine and pills. Would you guys ever want to get more of those drugs? And would you be willing to put in your own money in order to get them? If you have money, I would not suggest wasting it. There's plenty of other options and money-making opportunities for it. For example, real estate, even the stock market. I mean, heck, even gold is looking unbelievably attractive at this point. If you're interested in the best way to invest in gold, there's a link in the description down below this video. Then, of course, there's also very many side hustles and small businesses that can be started with little to no capital. Those are also capable of generating multiple streams of income. And when it all comes down to it, there's probably no better solution to our money problems than responsible budgeting. Now, if you guys want to learn more about these different methods, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. There is a link in the description down below this video. The path to financial freedom is not easy, but it's also not impossible. But before I go, guys, please don't forget to drop a like for the video. I totally appreciate the love and the support. Also, subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. Y'all be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next video. Be safe.